to throw. Got time over the middle. Camarillo's got it. 40.
He might
30.
score.
He may go the distance.
He's going in.
The Bobby Dolphins have
Like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the
Hey Dolphin fans, welcome back to another edition of Miami Dolphins Fincast. Once again, I'm joined with Maya Angel.
Hi guys, what's up?
And in this episode, we're going to review the heartbreaking loss to the Patriots. Also, we're going to have for you this week, we have our Fins Up and Fins Down. We'll let you know the latest news around Dolphins camp. We'll give you our keys to the game going into this week's game versus the Browns. And then we'll do some news from around the NFL, and we'll end off with our picks of the week. But to start off, we're going to go with our week in review.
The week in review.
New England won 31-24. It definitely was a heartbreaking loss. And it was interesting because the first half looked very different from the second half. And I think a lot of it has to do with Jimmy Garoppolo actually getting injured and coming out of the game. So that changed the dynamic of the game. Now, I want to talk about the offense and defense in the first half. There was a lot of just mistakes and bad plays and just horribleness. Jordan Cameron again with his drop pass. We barely had any offensive production, so our defense was constantly on the field, and that gave New England the advantage because they had complete ball control. We had poor tackling, mediocre coverage. I mean, I remember that one play where Cameron Wake had a sack, and I was like, yeah, we actually got a sack. Like, we're putting pressure on Garoppolo. And then it was negated because of Xavier Howard, our rookie cornerback. He had an illegal hands to the face penalty. So it was like, whoop-de-doop-doop.
Yeah, the first half of that game looked pretty bad. I couldn't believe I'm sitting there watching it, and I was so hopeful for this game. I'm thinking we're going to really go up to New England and compete. And coming off of Seattle, I really felt that we could compete with New England, especially since they have Garoppolo a quarterback, Gronk is out. They're beat up a little bit. So it's like, okay, so we're going to be able to go in there and at least hold our own at New England. And I don't think Garoppolo is that good of a quarterback. I think we made him look like that good of a quarterback. And I think there's that really shows some glaring issues in our defense. And, and then on offense, from what I was seeing in the game, defensively, I really think it's a personnel issue. I just don't think we have the right personnel that can execute the plays. Because we got pushed around most of the game. And when you're getting pushed around like that, it's really not play calling. It's not even execution so much as not having the players to be able to execute. On offense, however, we have the players. They're just not executing. And so it's mistakes. It was one mistake after another, whether it was drop passes, whether it was poor protection from the line, or not opening holes, or I don't know what our running backs were doing, or, it's all of these different things. It came down to execution.
So in the first half, Jimmy Garoppolo's in. He's doing great with the Patriots. We're getting completely beat. And then Kiko Alonso comes in and hits Jimmy Garoppolo, and he gets out with a right shoulder injury. So now the game changes, right? So this happens a little bit before the second quarter ended, and we were still struggling. We ended the half with Patriots were up by 24 and we only scored 3 points. But now I want to look at how different the second half was from the first half. So because Jimmy Garoppolo got out with the injury, they put in Jacoby Brissett, which is their third string quarterback. Now he hasn't had really much any experience with that offensive line, taking any snaps. I mean, Tom Brady took a lot of snaps in the preseason because they still weren't sure that he was going to be suspended. So Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo got most of the snaps. So here comes in this rookie quarterback. And I'm thinking, wow, if there was a miracle given to us, this is it. this is a miracle. You have a rookie quarterback that has barely taken any snaps. He has no experience. You don't have Gronk in. I mean, everything was in Miami's favor for the second half. And I actually saw some great things that happened in the second half. But again, Miami has this problem with finishing games. It was the same thing with Seattle. We just can't finish the game.
Yeah. And all right. So I guess let me wipe off all the gunk and try to look at the bright spots, because it's tough to do.
No, there
games.
are a lot of bright spots in the second half.
There are, but it's overshadowed by the fact that we lost. So, okay, let's look at the bright spots, though. Let's do that. So, coming out of halftime, it's 24-3. The first thing that went through my head is, no matter what happens, even if the Patriots decide to sit the second half out and just stay in the locker room, the Dolphins can't score that many points.
But we did.
But we did.
We did.
But we did. So to me, that was a bright spot. Now, I remember, all over Twitter as the game, because we do live tweeting during the game, and it was the same feeling. It was like, well, regardless of what happens, regardless of what the Patriots do, if they don't do anything, there's just no way that we can score that many points. There's no way we can rebound. And so the fact that we came back and challenged, even though it's their third string, even though, I know all of that, but the fact that we never quit says something about Adam Gase. Yeah,
absolutely. And it was different. The energy of the team was different. It was, because there's a history with the Miami Dolphins, especially last season. If we were doing really bad in the first half, that was it. That was how it was going to be in the second half. But here they come out and it's like, wow, Devontae Parker is making catches. He's becoming active in the game. I can't really say that much about the running game because they really stayed mediocre the whole game. But our receiving game really transformed, and so did Ryan Tannehill. I mean, if you look at his stats, he had an amazing game. He completed 32 out of his 45 attempts. He had 389 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also rushed 35 yards. That's insane. He had 6 carries, and he averaged 5.8 yards per carry. Ryan Tannehill had an outstanding game, regardless of whether the team won or lost.
Yeah, he was, just in the second half alone, he was 22 for 27 for 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown. So he had 3 touchdowns were put on Tannehill. He really came out and looked like a different quarterback. And I don't know if there were some scheming things that were different. I don't know if Gase talked to him. I don't know what happened, but he came out and I noticed he was throwing the ball down the field. Something I haven't seen from him. I always see these bubble screens, these sideline quick passes, these 1 yard outs, receiver screens. We're seeing those all the time. But he was throwing it down the field and he was making, I would say, more riskier throws too. He wasn't throwing to just the wide open receiver or the check down receiver. He was throwing it into coverage and making those throws. He was, to Landry, to Parker,
Jordan Cameron. Jordan Cameron had a touchdown and he was double teamed and he made that catch, and Ryan Tannehill threw that to him while he was double teamed. So it, like you said,
that was a great pass. That was a great pass through the double coverage. I mean, there was a very small window to put that. You put it through there, right to Cameron. And Cameron stepped it up too. When Cameron dropped the pass in the first half, I just don't know what to do with this. It's like his hands have turned to stone, and he's no longer able to catch. But he turned it on, and he was a different player in the second half. So we're seeing a team that didn't quit. And again, I understand the naysayers will say, well, yes, but it was, Garoppolo was out and they're at the third string. I understand that. But when you're down that many points and you're coming in, you've already lost your game at Seattle, you're coming in, you're getting killed in this game, it's real easy to lose your motivation to play. And the Dolphins could have easily came out, went through the motions, not really pushed that hard, and they could have easily stopped competing. And they didn't. They kept playing offensively and, for some part, defensively. I mean, the defense played decently through the second half, just not at the end when we needed them to. But they played decently in the second half. But the offense came out, and this is what we thought we could see from them under Adam Gase. And so whatever adjustment he made, and I like Gase's aggressive style. But whatever adjustments he made, I think can give us a glimmer of hope. And it's a glimmer right now because I want to see it again. But it gives us a glimmer of hope of possibly what Gase could turn this offense into.
Yeah, because Gase must have gave a hell of a halftime speech, to his team to just motivate them, to pump them up and say, hey, we can do this. And they did. So I'm hoping that same fire and coaching by Gase is consistent when we play the Browns next game. I hope to see our offense with that same passion. It's kind of frustrating because, yes, the offense did amazing in the second half. Not amazing, but they did pretty well. They changed the score to a more respectable one.
So we want to see that continue against the Browns to see if we can have any sort of consistency. And with the Browns, we're a little, I guess the football gods are giving us a stay of execution because, we've had tough games. We have Seattle, we had New England, we have Cleveland this week, thankfully, and then next week we go at Cincinnati. So we have a very difficult schedule, which most analysts around the league, really predicted that the Dolphins wouldn't come out of this doing too well. If, at best we'd split 2-2. Which we still could do. We lost the 2 games. If we put together a good game plan against the Browns, and we can't look at this as an easy game. For as much as it should be an easy game with the Dolphins, it's not. We have to still go out and execute. We have to see a good game plan. We have to give the players motivation and some confidence. But if we can do that against the Browns, then we can springboard that and hopefully do that again against Cincinnati.
And it's a very important game because now we're 0-2, and if we want to compete in the AFC division that we're in, which is highly competitive, especially with the Patriots that have been dominating this division for a decade now, we have to win this game. We can't go 0-3 because we definitely won't be able to compete.
No, I mean, the Bills don't look that good. The Bills are having their own issues. But the Jets are going to compete this year. The Patriots are going to be the ones to beat. They're on the top again. So you're right. We have to win this game. You hate to call it a must-win game, the third game in, but I really think it is. I think for Adam Gase, for the players to believe in him, for the players to have confidence in theirself, in their new scheme, in everything, we must win this game.
And truthfully, I think every game is a must-win game in this league.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many games in a season, and so that is true. That is true. In this league, in this specific division, every game is a must-win game. When we're in the same division as the Patriots, there is no game that we can afford to lose. All right, well, let's now move on to our Fins Up and Fins Down for the week.
Fins Up, Fins Down.
Maya, who's your Fins Up for the week?
My Fins Up would have to be the receiving game in the second half, despite the mistakes that they made in the first half, and yeah, there were a lot of them. But like we were saying, we saw a glimmer of hope from our offense. The receiving game in Tannehill stepped it up after the half and then made the score against the Patriots respectable. Parker had 8 catches for 106 yards. He had that amazing one-handed catch, which I was really impressed. Those always really impressed me. Jarvis Landry and Tannehill finally worked together in the second half to drive the ball down the field. Kenny Stills, the one thing I love about Kenny Stills is he's always able to get separation from tight coverage. Last game, when he dropped that pass, he was still like 10 yards in front of the defensive back. So he's always able to get coverage. He's always able to get separation from the coverage, and he had a 24-yard touchdown. And then, of course, the infamous Jordan Cameron. He had 5 catches for 49 yards, and he had that touchdown where he was in double coverage, and he still made the catch.
My Fins Up for the week is going to go to Ryan Tannehill. And, I think he's going to be my up and down quite a bit since he's such a key element to this game. He's, when he plays well, we have a chance to compete. When he doesn't play well, we lose. So it really comes down to that. And this week, even though the whole offense looked pretty bad in the first half, I credit Tannehill, his resilience. for really coming back. He showed something extra. He showed what we were looking for in him as a quarterback. He showed the toughness, both physical and mental. He showed more accuracy. He showed poise. Really the ability to step up under pressure. And again, 273 yards just in the second half alone, plus 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. We need to see more out of him like this. So I'm hoping this is something that is trending and will continue. But for now, he is my fins up for the week. All right, Maya, who's your fins down?
My fins down would have to be the defense. This was a defense that looked very dominant against the Seattle Seahawks in week 1. And now in week 2, we were completely blown out by the Patriots, and more specifically, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he completed 18 out of 27 passes for 234 yards. We just weren't competing defensively. Our coverage was not tight enough, and they basically outplayed us. And then there was also that in the last drive of the second half that they kept playing the same running play on us, and it was simple, and we knew exactly what they were going to do, and they kept doing it. And yet for some unknown reason, we could not stop them. That was really depressing to see. And it was almost like, honestly, like I was very frustrated. So yeah, defense needs to step it up. I want to see the defense that we saw in week 1, and they let me down.
Yeah, the last 6 minutes of the game, I think, were the most heartbreaking 6 minutes that we could have. And just when you see a team run the ball and they're going to run the ball, and yet they're still getting 5, 6, 7 yards per carry, there's nothing that takes the motivation out of a defense than when you know what they're going to do and you still can't stop them. All right, my fins down for the week is going to go to our running game. And, I was having trouble deciding, which do I have a specific running back and really, no, it's all of them. We're not finding any consistency in the running game. And to me, it's not just on the offensive line. It's really on the backs not making things happen. Arian Foster, he's just too injury prone. I mean, he's out again with an injury. We're going to see what his status is, but I just don't know if he has the ability to hold up anymore. That they're keeping him out of practice. They're trying to limit his work, all of these things. But, if you have that fragile of a running back, I don't know what he's going to be able to do on the field. And then Jay Ajayi, who we're hoping this is going to be his year to come in and contribute, he's not doing so. He's not running the ball well, and he has a fumble problem, which is a big problem. He fumbled again on Sunday, and, again, turnovers kill a team, and they kill momentum, and they stop your drive. They give the ball back to the opponent, and it really caused a lot of issues. And then Kenyon Drake, who I'm hopeful for, but still hasn't shown me enough. We need to figure out which running backs are going to come together and do something for this Dolphin team. So for now, the running game is my fins down for the week. All right, now we're going to move on to latest news.
Latest news.
This seems to be the biggest topic right now around Dolphin news, and that's, again, that Arian Foster suffered a groin injury against the Patriots. His official play status has not been announced by the team, so we're not sure if he's going to play in Week 3 with the Browns. I don't think so, because the trainer that looked at Foster when he came out of the game told Gase that he could not go back in. So this is obviously something that I don't think is going to heal in a week. When they asked head coach Adam Gase, he told reporters that Foster is day-to-day. So again, we're unsure of what the situation and status of Arian Foster is.
The Dolphins also made just a couple of roster moves on their practice squad. They cut defensive end Jordan Williams, and they signed former Florida Gator defensive tackle Leon Orr. He played sparingly last year for the Raiders. So they're still, churning around looking for some help. We're going to need some help on our defensive line. It was interesting on the defensive line, too, to note that they played Cameron Wake extremely sparingly. He didn't get a lot of snaps, and the hope was that Jason Jones could step up and really make a big improvement against the run. The problem is Jason Jones is rated one of the the worst defensive ends against the run in the league. So, right now that's not happening. And I understand, that Cameron's getting a little older. I understand they want to keep him healthy. I understand they want to keep him fresh for passing downs. But if we can't stop the run, we're never going to have those downs for Wake to play.
Right. What would be the point?
What's the point? So right now, I hope Gase does this, but we need to play our best players. We need to challenge the other team. And, a team that can run the ball every down, we're not challenging them. There's nothing that we can do. So we have to do that. We have to put a priority on that this week. All right, so now we're going to take a look at our keys to this week's game versus the Browns.
Keys to the game.
All right, Maya, what's your first key to the game this week?
My first key against the Browns would be to have an effective running game. In week 2, we rushed 70 yards in the entire game, and 35 of those yards were from Tannehill. I don't expect our quarterback to be running the ball this much. It should be on the running backs. And I'm not seeing a lot of production from Jay Ajayi. Again, he's having such an off season, an off year. There's something, I don't know if it's mental. I don't know. There's something that's just not clicking with him. So I want to see what Kenyon Drake, who did have a rushing touchdown, I want to see more of that. I also want to see more of Isaiah Peed. He looked great in the offseason, and I want to see what he can do in the regular season. I want to see him being challenged. Again, Arian Foster's playing status is unknown for week 3, but this is something consistent that in week 1 and week 2 we had a really bad running game. I want that to change. I want us to come out strong.
My first key for this game is going to be the play of our linebackers. The linebackers are key in stopping the run. The defensive line creates the separation, right? With the offensive line, they kind of hold up that wall. And with a really effective defensive line, if you're lucky, they will be the ones to make the tackle on the running back. But most of the time, the defensive line creates stoppage with the offensive line, and then the linebackers go in there and really plug up all the holes for the running game. So the linebackers are key. With the Browns, they're using they're on their third string quarterback. So, they're going to be probably relying heavily on their run game. The linebackers have to go in there, fill those holes, and stop that. In addition, the Dolphins seem to have issues with receivers in the middle of the field and especially tight ends in the middle of the field. And again, that comes down to the linebackers need to play that pass, play the tight ends effectively. The Browns are going to look to exploit that on the Dolphins, so our linebackers need to step up their game. All right, Maya, what's your second key to the game?
My second key to the game is stopping the run, just like you said, but from our defensive line. Again, it puts a lot of pressure off of the linebackers if our defensive line can stop the run. And it was disheartening to see that we couldn't stop the run against New England. So I'm really hoping that with a team like the Browns, we can stop the run. I want, again, Cameron Wake to be in there more. Jason Jones needs to step it up. I want to see more production from Sue, from Phillips. I want to see them work together and just be very effective. They need to stop the run.
Yeah, so essentially what we're saying is the defense needs to step up this game. And so the key to this game is going to be the defense showing us something more than they showed us last game. I agree with that completely. All right, my second key to the game is going to be the play of Ryan Tannehill. Again, he was my fins up for the week, and like I said there, until he shows me consistency, he's going to be a key. Because the reason when I pick my keys to the game, I'm looking for positions that really need to accelerate their game, positions that are not necessarily consistent, but ones that need to make sure they're playing at a high level. Tannehill needs to make sure he's playing at a high level. Now that we've seen the glimpse of what he can do, we need to see it consistently. The great quarterbacks play at a high level consistently. And we haven't seen that yet. Out of the 5 seasons with Tannehill, we've yet to see the consistent play. We see glimmers, but then he has, for every up game, he has a down game. So coming into playing the Browns in their home opener, this is a great opportunity for Tannehill to come back off of that second half with the Patriots and now make a statement and say, you know what? We're now settling into this new scheme that Gase has. We're feeling comfortable with the receivers, and we're going to go out there and push the ball down the field and make plays consistently. All right, so now we're going to go around the NFL.
Around the NFL.
Tom Brady is now officially halfway through his 4-week suspension. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, who is now suffering a right shoulder injury thanks to Kiko Alonso, was not present in Tuesday's walkthrough, but has not been officially ruled out for Thursday's game against the Houston Texans, which I find very interesting considering it's a short week. And also, the Patriots have not signed on a free agent quarterback. So basically, all eyes in Foxborough are on Jacoby Brissett. If something happens to Jacoby Brissett, what the heck are the Patriots going to do? They don't have a backup quarterback to their third-string quarterback.
The interesting thing is what they're saying now is that Edelman is their emergency quarterback.
I find that astounding considering Edelman is so short. How is he going to be able to see over that O-line?
He's small. But I apparently he played some quarterback sometime in his history. Might have been high school, but he played some quarterback at some point. And therefore, he's going to be the emergency quarterback. I think if anything happened and he had to go in there, they would do rollouts. They would run the ball a lot.
Yeah, they would pull something out of their magic box.
So it's going to be interesting. They're just holding on with everything they have until Brady gets back.
So there seems to be this trend of injury in the NFL. Jay Cutler, the quarterback for the Browns, suffered a right thumb sprain while playing the Eagles on Monday. Head coach John Fox has ruled him day-to-day, and it appears that Cutler will not need surgery. Lions running back Amir Abdullah was placed on injury reserve for a foot injury. He's going to miss about 8 games. And also, Adrian Peterson suffered a torn meniscus, which is the rubbery C-shaped disc that cushions the knee, Sunday night. Head coach Mike Zimmer said that despite the injury, he's not ruling out Adrian Peterson, which, again, I find why not? I mean, this is a veteran. You have to protect him. There's something wrong with his knee. Why are you not ruling him out?
Well, a torn meniscus is not that serious of an injury. It's the same injury I had a few years ago, and they go in with a scope, they kind of clean it out, and it's done. And while it's annoying and it can be painful, it's there's not really any risk of playing on top of it. It's really can he play through the pain? So I think that's where they're looking at. Now, if he has it scoped and he has it repaired, he's going to have to wait for that surgery to repair, to heal. So he'll have to sit out a few weeks at that point. But he could always choose to just play through the pain. So I think they're going to wait and see what's happening there. But most likely he's going to end up having the surgery, which means he'll be out for several months. And then just one correction. You had said Jay Cutler of the Browns. It's Jay Cutler of the Bears.
Wow, I am so sorry. At least I got the head coach right.
But that's okay. Still started with a B. Chargers also lost running back Danny Woodhead out for the season with a torn ACL. Lot of injuries going on this year. And it's early in the season to be seeing this many injuries, and which brings up kind of a question, because there's been a lot of talk about this. Are we seeing more injuries because the conditioning is not as good in training camp?
I have news around the NFL about that. So the Seattle Seahawks were actually penalized for violating off-season workout rules. Basically, what happened is that they violated the rule against excessive on-field physical contact during OTAs that are put in place to protect the safety of the players. Apparently, 2 players in the OTAs were helmetless and, as Pete Carroll says, banged heads and got injured during the OTAs. Now, the league is taking this seriously because the team is being fined $400,000. They're forced to forfeit their 5th round selection in the 2017 draft. And also, Pete Carroll is being fined $200,000, and he's also taking the blame. So the league is not playing around with injuries and the safety that is being put in place for players. So again, that is an interesting concept of conditioning and how that affects the players.
Back in the 80s and 90s, teams could practice. I mean, they definitely had what was called two-a-days. They would have 2 times per day. They would go out full pads, hit each other, and do a very strenuous full pad workout. And some teams even had 3-a-days. Back with Don Shula, in the earlier years, he would do 3 and then 4-a-days. I mean, he would come out 4 times a day and make them practice, 3 times a day and make them practice. At the end of every practice, he had them do a 12-minute run. So at the end of every practice, they would then have to sprint. And it was Shula's way of just pushing these players beyond their limits. But it would get them in such ridiculous good shape for the game that it made it easier on game day, and it made it easier for them, and their bodies were more pliable, flexible. They were ready for this type of impact. Nowadays, there's all of these rules in place for the players in camp to not have them hit each other, and the whole thing is, well, we don't want them hitting each other in practice because then it could lead to injury. But I think we're seeing the opposite. I think because they're not practicing at that level, they're not used to taking these hits, they're not used to this type of contact, they get into the games, and now in weeks 1, week 2, we're having so many season-ending injuries because we're not allowed to do that in camp.
Yeah, the body is truly amazing, and you can condition it to do basically absolutely anything. So I have to somewhat agree with you there that conditioning is very important. And I think a lot of it has to do even off season, because the players have a little bit of break. I see players like Odell Beckham on his Instagram not in his off season, but before that, he's constantly working out and pushing himself, and I find that very he doesn't get injured a lot. So I find that amazing that he's actually pushing himself when he's supposed to be quote unquote on break, because that's not even off season for him, So I do agree with you that players and teams should look into this concept and maybe work out better conditionings that don't hurt the players but strengthen them.
Contrary to Beckham, you look at Devontae Parker. They had found out that he's having all these injuries, and we can't keep him on the field for more than a game or 2 at a time. Well, they found out that he was not eating well. He was not eating properly. He was skipping meals. He was doing all of these different things. And it's like, well, no wonder when you're working out at such a level, you have to feed your body a certain level of protein, a certain level of carbohydrates. You have to put that in your body for it to absorb and use as energy. And when you're not eating properly, it's going to lead to injury. And again, it's a different league. Because back in the day, I remember that not only did they practice so much, but their meals were regulated. The team came together and ate. Back when they were playing at Biscayne College and St. Thomas University, the teams would eat in the cafeteria together, and they would have regulated meals, and there was more control over this stuff. And I really think that pulling back on the players in practice, pulling back on what they're doing in the offseason, pulling back on what is regulated for them, I think this is one of the major reasons it's leading to these type of injuries now. All right, so now we're going to move on to our picks for this week.
Picks of the week.
Okay, so for our picks for the week segment, we overall we're struggling out of the gate, a lot like the Miami Dolphins. We're struggling out of the gate. So we were both 7-9 this week on our picks. So we're getting there. We're getting to 500. Something we hope that the Dolphins will do by the end of the season. We'll get back to 500. But overall for this season, I am 13-19. Maya, you are 14-18. So we're pretty close with each other. And it's time to now turn it on. It's time to get going with this. But now we've seen these teams play. We've really seen what they're all about. So we really feel good about our picks for for this week. So starting off, let's start off with our Thursday night game.
Texans at Patriots.
I'm going to take Houston. It's a short week. If Jimmy Garoppolo is ruled inactive for the game, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is prepared enough or experienced enough to take on this strong Texas defense. And also, I think that the Patriots' luck is just going to run out. So definitely Houston is going to beat the Patriots.
I'm in agreement with you there. I think Houston's going to go into New England and win this game. Houston is looking pretty solid as a team. They don't have everything together, but they're beginning to build something over there. What's really interesting is that there's so many coaches on the Houston staff that are former New England. They all have ties to Belichick, and somehow they're all. It's funny, but all of these coaches, as they're bouncing around the league, they're kind of ending up in Houston together again. Uh-oh. So I think they're beginning to build something down there.
Something's going down.
But we're going to go Houston over New England.
Broncos at Bengals.
I'm going to go with Denver. They're on fire right now, especially coming off a Super Bowl win. They're 2-0. This team has all the momentum, and I just don't think that Andy Dalton and his team will be strong enough to stop them.
I'm in agreement with you again there. Denver's going to go into Cincy and take this one. Denver just looks too strong. And, until somebody proves that they're not that strong and they're not the Super Bowl champions, they are the ones to beat. Denver's going to take it.
Raiders at Titans.
I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders. If Oakland expects to keep up with the competitive AFC West with the Broncos in that division, then this is a must-win for them. I'm going to take Oakland. I'm on their side.
There must be a full moon because I'm with you again on this, and I'm going with the Oakland Raiders.
My goodness.
Yeah, wow, 3 for 3. So, yeah, Oakland has the ability to score a lot of points. And while Oakland has a lot of holes in defense, I think Tennessee will be able to put up some points versus Oakland. I just don't think they can hang with the high-powered offense that Oakland has the potential to have.
Cardinals at Bills.
I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. In league rankings, they rank higher on offense, defense, passing, and rushing over the Bills. Right now, the Bills head coach Rex Ryan's team is 0-2, and it just doesn't look like it's going to get any better for them, which on the upside is great for the Miami Dolphins. But yes, I'm definitely taking the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going with Arizona as well. Buffalo's looking kind of like a mess. It was funny in a statement this week. Rex Ryan talks about, I'm taking full responsibility for what's happening with this team. Everything really starts and ends with me. Every issue that we have is my fault, and I'm here to correct it. And so he does that by firing somebody else.
Typical.
So
typical.
He's taking the responsibility by firing his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman. So. So I think Buffalo is in for one heck of a season. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs. So this is going to be another one they will lose to Arizona.
Ravens at Jaguars.
I'm going to take Baltimore. They have the momentum right now, and while their offense is decent, they have the advantage on defense. And also the Jaguars just have a poor running game and not much offensive production. Actually the Jacksonville Jaguars were actually predicted to have an upcoming season, a blowout season. They did a lot of right moves in the offseason to have a better team, and it's just not adding up. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens on this one.
All right, here's the first one we differ on because I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Oh, dang it.
And I don't know why I'm going with Jacksonville because I have all the feelings you do about this. But for some reason, I'm like, okay, this is the week they're going to get it right. They're playing at home. Baltimore's coming to them. They're going to put it all together. They're going to rebound from last week. I'm sticking with them one more time.
I can respect that.
Until, if the ship completely explodes again, then I'll jump off. But for right now, I'm sticking with them once more, going with Jacksonville.
Redskins at Giants.
Divisional matchup. The Redskins have yet to win a game, and right now it would look on paper that the Giants have the better advantage, but it is a divisional matchup, and it's any given Sunday, right? I definitely think that it's going to be a close game, but I think that the Redskins are finally going to win a game.
I'm going to stick with the Giants, and I don't know. I was 7-9 last week, so I'm gonna stick with the Giants. I have this feeling that Washington can go in there and beat them. I really do, because I don't think the Giants are that great, and I think Washington has a lot of upside. But the Giants at home, they play strong at home. Eli still looks pretty decent this season. I just think they're gonna put it together and be too strong for Washington.
Lions at Packers.
I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. I've picked them all the time. Even though Green Bay's offense was beat by the Vikings, the Lions are riddled with injuries. Amir Abdullah is now out there starting running back, and they made a lot of costly disciplinary mistakes in their last game. So I think right now that the Packers were given this gift of playing the Lions. So the Packers are going to win this, and it's going to make up for how they lost against the Vikings.
Yeah, Green Bay is going to be way too strong against Detroit, especially since they're playing at Green Bay. They're
go Pack, go.
Green Bay was embarrassed by Minnesota, and just the way it all happened, and they're going to really come out and play strong. They're just too good of a team. Even when they're playing poorly, they're still too good of a team, so that they're going to take this one versus Detroit.
Vikings at Panthers.
I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. Despite the outstanding play of the Vikings, wide receiver Stephon Diggs and quarterback Sam Bradford, they had amazing games with the Vikings. But Cam Newton and the Panthers, I think, are just the stronger team. Plus, right now, the game is in favor of the Panthers because they have home field advantage, and Adrian Peterson is injured with this torn meniscus. So, yes, I think the Carolina Panthers are going to take this.
Yeah, Minnesota's looking pretty good. I think Sam Bradford is going to be a good pickup for them, and
who would have thunk?
Yeah, I mean, go figure. But good for him, and good for Minnesota. And Stephon Diggs, if you have him on your fantasy team, start him, because he is going to be lighting it up all year long. I think he's going to be a great player for years to come. However, Carolina's going to take this game.
I knew there was a butt coming in there.
Carolina's going to take this game. They're going to be too strong at home. They're still, they're still that team, that Super Bowl caliber team. Minnesota's going to have to cross the country and just won't have what it takes to hang with them.
49ers at Seahawks.
Seattle. I'm picking Seattle. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting NFC West matchup because the 49ers defense is mediocre, but so is the Seattle Seahawks offense. So you have a mediocre defense and a mediocre offense. But I think it's going to be a close game that ends with Seattle on top. They have a knack for finishing games. I wish Miami had that same knack. But yes, Seattle's going to win.
I'm surprised at how bad Seattle is this year. And I say bad, I guess it's bad for Seattle, but they're just not looking like they're playing at that high level that I would expect from the Seahawks anymore. And I'm not too sure where that's coming from. I don't know if they're still just starting off. I don't know if it's because Lynch isn't there anymore. I don't know what that reason is, but they seem like there's something missing. However, still too strong for San Francisco. Seattle will win at home.
Rams at Buccaneers.
I'm going to take the Bucs. I think that their offense will look a lot more balanced than it did last week, and plus they're playing at home. I have a lot of faith in Jameis Winston. I think that he is going to be he has the potential to be a star quarterback, and I think games in his beginning seasons in the league are very important. So yeah, I think that they're going to beat this new LA Rams team.
I'm not too sure what happened to Tampa Bay last week. It was a bizarre implosion of everything that happened.
That's a good way to put it.
So, but the Rams, the Rams just look bad. So the Rams are traveling all the way across country to Tampa. They got to deal with the Florida heat. Tampa's going to rebound and beat the Rams at home.
Steelers at Eagles.
This is no surprise. I'm going to take the Steelers. I'm going to go in depth in this, okay? The Eagles are 2-0, right? But let's remind ourselves that they have only played the Browns and the Bears. This is not a hard schedule they've been playing recently. Also, the Steelers are now ranked. They dethroned the Patriots in Elliot Harrison's, which he is an NFL analyst, Elliot Harrison's power rankings. He ranks each team every week by how good they play. The Steelers dethroned the Patriots. The Steelers are the team to beat, and I just don't think that the Eagles have the chance to do it. Again, they've had an easy schedule, and now they're going to come up against this really strong opponent, and I think they're just going to falter.
I don't know why, but I'm picking
Oh
Philly.
my God. I cannot believe this right. Guys, come on. Oh.
I don't know why, but
Look at the facts.
Carson Wentz looks really good.
We're talking about Ben Roethlisberger
No,
here.
I understand.
Carson Wentz.
He looks really good. He looks like somebody that can develop really well. Now, granted, he's running the ball way too much, and he's taking some really, really ridiculous hits. They're almost like NFL follies type of hits that he's taking. He needs to stop doing that. But I'm seeing something out of the Eagles. Plus, Pittsburgh is having to go, and it's being played at Philly. I know Pittsburgh, for whatever reason, on paper, Pittsburgh looks like the team to beat.
No, not on paper. They are the team. You know, it's fine. When you lose, I'll be the one smiling.
There's a feeling. I got this feeling so I'm going Philly at home.
Jets at Chiefs.
I'm gonna take the Jets. Both teams are 1-1 right now. The Chiefs lost to the Texans in week 2, and they have difficulty keeping the coverage tight, and their quarterback Alex Smith has some accuracy issues. So I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Jets are gonna beat KC. And at home. They're gonna beat KC in KC's home.
No, I'm going with KC. I just, and part of it is I don't have the heart to pick the Jets. They're the Jets. Come on.
But I'm trying to be as unbiased here as possible.
I understand, but they're the Jets. Now, Fitzpatrick looks pretty strong. Mm-hmm. He looks really, really good. He's got command of that offense. The best thing the Jets did this offseason was retain Ryan Fitzpatrick because he is their answer right now. And they should sign him for the next couple years because he could be their answer for the next couple years. He is the strength of that team, and they do play really well underneath him. And Bowles really has that team. Coach Bowles really he's a strong coach. He's a strong coach, and he motivates those players, and they play really well for him. But they're going to KC. That stadium, Arrowhead, is a rockin' stadium. Talk about a 12th man. They have it. And it's just too overwhelming for the Jets.
Okay.
KC will take it.
Chargers at Colts.
I'm going to give Andrew Luck and the Colts a chance here. Now, it's not going to be an easy win against the Chargers, who just had this blowout game against the Jaguars. I have no idea what happened, but for some unknown reason, the Chargers just came out ready to fight and win. But if quarterback Andrew Luck and wide receiver Philip Dorsett can step up to the plate, I think that they can win. Now, it's not going to be easy, but they have the potential to do it.
I don't know what happened. We started so strong together, Maya.
Goodness.
I don't know what happened, but now we're drifting apart.
Watch us split 7 and 9 again.
I'm going San Diego. I think Luck has run out of luck. I really do. And,
real original.
But I think that's where it's at. And San Diego is going to go in. They have some momentum now. I mean, I think this thing against Jacksonville, whatever it's going to inspire that team. It's going to show them, hey, we can go in and be very productive on offense. They're going to go into Indy. It's not going to be the same type of blowout. It's going to be a closer game. But I think with that confidence, they're going to go in and defeat Indy at Indy.
Bears at Cowboys.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. If the Cowboys lose against Chicago, I don't know. The world's going to fall apart. The Dallas Cowboys offense is starting to look really impressive under rookie quarterback Dak Prescott, and I think that even though they have some issues on their defense, there's no doubt in my mind they're going to blow out the Chicago Bears.
All right, so we're back together on this one, going with Dallas. And yeah, I think what Dak Prescott and the Cowboys needed was that first win. They needed something to say, okay, we can do this together. Because last year they couldn't do it without Romo. So this year, here's their win. Here's their statement that says, you know what? Okay, we won one. We can win with Dak. We can build off this. We can move forward. Des Bryant had a strong game. That's going to keep building that relationship. So I think Chicago coming into Dallas, they're at home again. They're going to play strong. They're going to take it.
Falcons at Saints.
I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints. I think that the Saints are going to, it's very interesting, okay? Drew Brees has had amazing stats in week 1 and week 2. Amazing. But for some reason, they just can't reel in a win. But I think that this is all going to change in week 3. The Saints are finally going to get a win against the Falcons. And, they're at home. So they have home field advantage. Drew Brees is not going to let them down. They've got this.
I don't think it's Drew Brees that's letting them down. I think Drew Brees is playing amazing.
Well,
I think the rest of the team is letting Drew Brees down.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's not like he's not going to be consistent. So
Drew Brees will play very well, but not well enough. Atlanta will come in with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's gonna really just overpower that defense. Atlanta's gonna win at New Orleans.
Browns at Dolphins.
I have to go with the Miami Dolphins here. We're finally getting a break from our very hard schedule. We're playing a typically weaker opponent. I'm so sorry, Cleveland fans, that I said that, but not really. And honestly, I would be ashamed if we lost to the Browns. I really would. I don't know what I would do with myself. Because, losing to the Patriots is not as horrible as losing to the Browns, in my opinion. So, please, God, Miami, give us a win.
Yes, I am going once again with the Dolphins. I am picking them. I will keep picking them. But I really, I felt last week, I really did feel when I was picking them versus the Patriots that they had a chance. Knowing what I know now, well, I don't think I would pick them against the Patriots again. But with the Browns, they're coming home, new stadium. This is their home opener. Gase is going to have them fired up. They're playing a weakened Browns team. It's kind of funny, a weakened Browns team, but they are. They're
oh
playing,
my God, I totally get it.
They're playing a weakened Browns team, and they're starting a young quarterback, and they really just they're not very dimensional. So this is going to give the Dolphins an opportunity to really come together, to really play strong, play smart, really execute the schemes like Gase wants to. I think they have a good chance on both offense and defense to really make a statement in this game, and we need to. It's a must-win game for the Dolphins to be able to compete in the AFC East. So everything's going to come together. The stars are going to align. It's all going to happen. We're going to win our first game against the Browns at home.
That was amazing. Thank you, Marco.
What do you think the score of the game is going to be?
I haven't thought that deep into it. I'm hoping maybe we'll have more than 20 points. Hopefully it's I'll say maybe 27-17.
That's exactly the score that I had. 27-17. I think they're going to win by 10 points. I think they're going to put up 27 points. I really do. I think the defense is going to still have some holes in it and going to give up some yardage to Cleveland. I'm feeling some sort of a special team score by Cleveland. I don't know why. Punt return, kickoff return.
If you get that right, I'm going to buy you a Kit Kat.
I will take that offer from you. So, but all right. So we're in agreement. 27-17. Dolphins will take this week. Awesome.
Not bad.
Final thoughts.
All right, so final thoughts for this episode. I just wanted to talk a moment about, a lot of the controversy. It's still funny as I'm looking around. We do a lot of research each and every week, looking on different threads, on NFL pages, on Twitter, on all of these things, and it still seems to be. The main headline is, well, are players going to stand for the national anthem or are they going to kneel? And it's like, it's so consuming, it's almost ridiculous at this point that is the main headline, that this is what's consuming people. And what I would say is that a lot of players have now taken it, they've started with this protest. And I understand the protest in Is it respectful or not? And there is a good debate there. However, the message that the players are trying to send, what they are actually protesting with social injustice, is something that needs to be spoken about. And it needs, they're trying to have a voice, and they're using the platform that they have. Are they using it wisely? That's debatable. I'm not too sure myself whether kneeling during the national anthem is really the most respectful thing to do. However, it has started a conversation, so let's continue that. And, for the Miami Dolphins, the ones that started their protest, Jelani Jenkins, Arian Foster, Kenny Stills, and Michael Thomas, they all this week said, okay, well, we did our protest, but now we must do something else. And they called a town hall meeting where other players, former Dolphins Nat Moore, Dan Marino, other players came to this along with local police and said, let's sit down and let's discuss what the problem is. This is the next step. Kudos to them for doing this. They're not just making a statement and bringing media attention to themselves. They're out there doing something. Colin Kaepernick is donating a lot of money to the cause.
$100,000 over for 10 months. So that's $1 million in total.
$1 million total. So he's, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's making all this money. Well, he's donating something. So he's doing something. Denver's Brandon Marshall is, he formed a meeting where he was meeting with the local chief of police and having a sit down and saying, okay, I want to talk to you about what the issue is, because these things aren't stopping. The social injustices are continuing to happen. We had another incident or two more incidents just this week alone, and these things need to be brought to the attention. And it's my feeling that the NFL needs to stand behind their players. We need to come to a compromise. And the NFL can come out and simply say, look, we understand your protest. We want to support you on this. While we feel that you should stand for the national anthem, we will have a compromise. While we want all players to stand for the national anthem, we will give you something in return. We will give you a patch that's going to go on every uniform in the league that speaks to this particular matter. We will give you so many public service announcements on radio, on television, but we will make it kind of a united front of something that we are addressing as a league. The NFL needs to do that.
Right. And why not? Because the NFL has stood behind other social justice issues such as domestic violence. I remember when they were running a PSA ad all on TV about domestic violence, and I thought, wow, this is very moving, because these are players that I see on TV every week, and here they are using their platform to speak about things, dare I say, more important than football, So if the NFL stood behind the players and did support and created more awareness, because that's the thing, we need awareness. And like you said, we've started the conversation, but now the conversation needs to keep going. And that all comes with awareness. So if people started seeing that the NFL is now backing things like Black Lives Matter and this issue that we're having with police suppressing minorities, I think that would have such a stronger visual impact than somebody kneeling down. Well, I see that the kneeling down is visually impactful. If it was united with like a patch or something, or even TV ads running, I think that this could start something new. And it also brings the awareness of the issue onto the same level as domestic violence, because I definitely think that Black men, women, and other people of color getting murdered by policemen and nothing happening is as big as an issue as domestic violence. It's still something that's happening to humans. At the end of the day, we're all humans, but these specific humans are being hurt. So I think that if the NFL backed it up, it could cause some amazing changes, and it would just be great.
It could really make a difference. And, the issue with the kneeling protest is that the issue is fuzzy. While they're kneeling because of social injustice, it's, there's this fuzzy line where, it's disrespectful to the military, it's disrespectful to police officers, it's disrespectful to veterans. There's a lot of this disrespect that is being felt from it. And it's like, okay, well, again, now that the conversation has started, we can end that level of protest, but let's do something bigger. Let's do something better. Let's really get the message out there. And, really what I want to do is, I'm challenging Stephen Ross and Mike Tannenbaum of the Dolphins. Do something about this. Stand behind your players, not just by giving them a public endorsement when you're asked a question. Do something team-wide. And then Roger Goodell, you want to leave a legacy, because right now your legacy is not a good one. You have a chance to change that. You want to change your legacy and make a mark, not just in the NFL, but in history. Have the NFL, the entire league, stand behind what these players are fighting for. That is your mark in history, and that is your legacy. All right, Dolphins, thanks for listening. Once again, please reach out to us. There's many ways to subscribe. You can subscribe on iTunes or Android. You can subscribe from RSS feed. You can even subscribe via email. All of these options are on our website at dolphinpodcast.com. In addition, please follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at DolphinFincast. It's FINCAST, and we can have conversations there. Also, you can follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Fincast, FINCAST. But we look forward to hearing from you. And here's to an excellent game that we're going to put it all together and do it against the Cleveland Browns this week.
All right, Dolphins. Thank you for listening.
All right, have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.